Dear listeners, in my interview with Tech CEO Amanda Odu, she talks about the trials and tribulations elders face navigating the virtual space, whether it's access to online or changing a password or even understanding the terminologies. So please listen in to this important interview as it relates to healthcare, legal, and finance. Okay, well, good morning, Amanda. How are
Good
you?
morning, Harlem. I'm okay. How are you?
Very good, very good. Thank you so much for agreeing to participate in my project, and I'm very excited about our discussion. And why don't you just share with us who you are and a little bit about your professional background?
Okay, so my name is Amanda Udo. I'm the CEO and founder of Gotta Tech LLC, and my business is I support small businesses and optimization of their tech equipment. I more so support seniors with technology and training, learning how to use technology devices so that they also feel like they're part of the new wave of technology. So that's also what Gotta Tech does.
Great. And what got you into working with the elders?
Actually, it was a mix of things, but I think mostly my great grandma. She
Yeah?
was very enthusiastic, even in her late 90s. Every time I visited her, she wanted me to train her on the computer. She wanted to make sure she was staying sharp and she knew how to get on Facebook and check her email and everything. So she always had me work with her every time I went up to Boston. So I think that's what really sparked the interest to help seniors.
Yeah, I find that to be the case that the passion for serving the elders from almost everyone I've spoken to, it's based on their personal experience and story, which is really wonderful.
Yeah.
And how long have you been working with them?
Officially, my business has been open for a little over a year,
Uh-huh.
but Gotta Tech has been in business unofficially for 2 years, but I've been working with seniors a long time. I would say at least 15 years. I just never officially opened a company until recently.
Sure, I understand. And that's usually how it works, right? You get the experience and then you decide, there's a niche for the service. And I absolutely agree. There is definitely a niche for it. So tell us about your experience working with them, with the elderly.
It depends on the seniors. Some are very open and excited about learning new things, or they're really anxious to learn something different. And then some seniors are very stubborn. They're very stuck in their their ways. They already come in thinking they know how to do it. So I have that broad range. But either way, they're all fun to work with. I learned something from each and every one of them. So, it's just a fun job for me to do. I love doing it.
What sort of challenges do they come with? What do they present? Give me sort of some of the challenging situation that seniors from your experience, what they experience.
The challenge is seniors are very strong minded,
Uh-huh.
very, very strong minded. They have an idea of how something should be, and that's how they want it to be. It takes, sometimes it takes a little bit more probing to get them to understand this is actually how it works now. The way you were doing it is no longer is now obsolete. We can't do it that way anymore. Then once I work with them and I get them to understand that, and they actually try it, they end up liking the new way. It's just pushing them like it's just pushing them to get there and actually do it. That can be a challenging sometimes.
Yeah. So tell me about, can you give me some examples? Like ex senior came and they asked you to do this, and also to the experience with the computer and internet and things of that nature. So can you give us a little bit of some examples, please?
I have a client that I work with on a regular basis, and she is using a Mac computer,
Uh huh.
and she just wants to stick with using Microsoft Office on her on that's installed on her computer.
Yes.
And I'm trying to show her that you can also upload these documents to your cloud, and you can access it from other places. You don't only have to be on your computer to, because in her mind, she has to be at home in front of her computer to get access to these documents.
Mhm.
So that holds up other things she may need to do outside because she's always waiting to get home in order to get to the documents. But I'm trying to explain to her, there are other ways you can go about this. You can email it to yourself. Of course, you can make a hard copy, but you can email it to yourself. You can upload it to your cloud drive. And if you do it either of those ways, if you log into another computer, as long as you know your username and password, you can access the very same document elsewhere. Always have to be at your computer. It was very hard to get her to understand the concept of the cloud. She's like, "Where is this cloud?" No, they, they don't. I don't want to use this cloud. I don't want to be on a cloud. What are you talking about? So once you get them to calm down a little bit and listen to what you're saying and show it to them a few times, and they actually do it. I think that's really the key, to get them to try it. Once they actually try it, then most of the times it's smooth sailing from there.
So what I'm hearing is that there's some sense of learning curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they have to overcome.
For
And one,
sure.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about that learning curve with seniors. What is that like?
Well, a lot of times it's either the elderly person themselves that's calling me or their children.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, and
Okay.
if it's the elderly person themselves, it's usually the same complaint. Either the senior themselves is saying, "I'm tired of calling my kids for help," or the kids are calling saying, "My mom is driving me nuts with this. Every minute she's calling with a question. Can you help her?" So
Okay.
what I try to explain to the kids is that you have to be very patient because we grew up with technology. We grew up
Right.
with technology in our classrooms. We have these phones and tablets, everything that we use growing up. We have a knack to use technology. They did not use technology
Mm-hmm.
until they started helping us maybe a little bit with it. But for the most part, our parents did not use technology
Right.
in school, or if they could afford it at home, which in most cases that wasn't the case. They didn't have
Mm-hmm.
technology at home. So this is very new to them. They're used to going to the bank. They're used to, actually printing things out, looking at maps, all of these things, and they're stuck to that, which I can understand, because 40, 50 years from now there's going to be something new even to me now that I'm going to have a learning curve for. And my children and grandchildren are going to say, no, this is not, you don't do it that way anymore. So we have to be very patient with seniors and have that understanding that they did not grow up with technology. It can be a very hard concept for them to understand unless it's something they've used at work, or unless it's something that they're in school for, or they're using it often. If they're not using it often, they're not going to understand what we're trying to show them.
You brought up a very important point, which is patience. And I can attest to that. I have none because it's managing and juggling the responsibility of my household,
Mm-hmm.
of my kids, of my job, my obligations, of dealing with my loved ones who are elders and their ailments. So when it comes to technology, I have no patience for myself, nor do I have patience to help anyone else. So that's our perspective as kids of
Mm-hmm.
elder parents. And I love that you are a resource to them and that you can provide this service to the elderly. Now, as we along the lines of learning curve, and you talk about sort of the going to the brick and mortar banks and doing things sort of the manual or traditional way, going about your business. What has been your experience with them navigating the financial space? So you talk about banks. I mean, what have they come to you with?
Oh, everything. They don't get the concept of Zelle and where's their money disappearing to. You know?
Really?
They don't understand Cash App, Zelle. They to them their money's disappearing, and I've been able in real time to show someone, hey, look, I just got paid. I just got the payment. You sent it to
Got
me.
it.
You
Yeah.
sent it to me. So Zelle is a big one. What else with the banks? Online banking or the apps on their phone, trying to get them to understand the difference between an app and going on their computer to use banking, showing them that hey, you can save yourself some time if you do this transaction online. Like one, actually it was a gentleman I helped a few weeks ago. He was going to I think it was Dollar General to have
Uh-huh.
them help him transfer money into an
Really?
account. Yes, into an account. And then from that account, he had to go. Okay, no, this is what he had to do. He had to go to the ATM machine to get the money out the ATM machine. Then he would go to Dollar General and give them the money to transfer it via Western Union or some service, some transfer they have, some
Oh
service
my.
they have there to put it into another account. And I'm like, why are you doing? And I said, I'm so sorry, sir. I don't want to get too personal. We just met. But if you allow me, I can help you make this a little easier on yourself. You don't have to make all these trips to two different stores just to transfer money. So he
Wow.
allowed me and he
Uh,
showed me, he let me log into, he let me get on the phone with his bank and we retrieved his username
uh-huh.
for him to go online and use the bank for both institutions. And then we were able to connect Zelle accounts to both of those. And then I showed him you can just Zelle yourself from one bank to the next in your home. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go to Dollar General anymore. You can, and he was just amazed that he was just sitting there and the money he saw it go from one account to the next. So I'm very happy when I'm able to enlighten people in that way that they can do something. They can do the same thing in a more efficient way. They can save their time. They can be in the comfort of their home and get the same job done.
That is absolutely fantastic. What a wonderful story. Now, what also comes to mind, and part of this my project is to really examine the different sort of socioeconomic gradient and status with people, right? So we have people who are low income, people who are middle income, people who are high income. What has been your experience working with these different type of population, if you have?
In the senior community?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like the people that are high income
Uh-huh.
are very, they're more demanding. Like they almost feel like they bought me. In
Hmm.
a sense. They have that approach. Like, I'm calling you now. I want to talk to you now. And, I have to explain to them. So, you know, you have to make an appointment.
Yes.
I want to help you, but I also have other clients. I'm not, you didn't buy me just because, I worked with you a few times or because you can pay me, you can give me an extra tip or something. I
Right.
appreciate it, of course, but we have to, I have to respect other people's appointments just like I'm trying to respect your appointment.
Right.
So that seems to be the vibe from the more higher income people.
Yeah, I guess I should rephrase that question.
Okay.
What has been their speaking about high income clients? What has been their experience in navigating the tech world?
Oh, as far as income, I'd say it's all the same. Um,
Really? So
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. Income doesn't
Really?
matter. I think where it makes a difference is really the next generation, their children, because
Hmm.
some children actually do have the patience to help them, or if for themselves, if they're like if they have a job, if they have a current job or something that they're doing, and the job uses technology and they have to learn it, or if they're in school or something like that and they have to use it. But I think the key really is how we, as the next generation, their children, help them and how much patience we have helping them. I think that's really what makes a difference. Money doesn't. that I've seen so far.
So across the board, it's you from your experiences, they present with this very similar challenges or requests or demands, I should say, from you. A lot of times, with speaking about the different socioeconomic status, a lot of times, someone who is low income may have a restricted income or salary, and those who are maybe middle or high income may have a different, more financial management or demands, right? Do you help them in that sort of capacity as well? Because where I'm going with this is I know that, for instance, some family members who I know, and you were talking about this one client who was trying to transfer money. Some clients who I know with limited income or family members with little limited income, they really struggle with their finances and also don't know how to manage that. As you're speaking, I'm hearing that it's also cost effective to do it in a sort of a more tech savvy way as well, right? People who are middle class or affluent, they may have other financial management to deal with, such as retirement or investments, things of that nature. So, what has been your experience working with it? Because I know that in some communities in New Jersey, a lot of clients are pretty well off.
Mm-hmm.
And what has been your experience with that?
So I just want to, it was a lot to take in. I just want to make sure I understand the question. So you want to know what's my experience? Could you? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So really, what is your experience helping them to navigate that space? Do you, for instance, have you met someone who's low income, who's really struggling, and something sort of stuck out for you where they are really struggling to meet their means financially? Do these things come up in your interactions with them? Because I would imagine you start off with, like you said, with this one client, and we know that it's costly to withdraw money from an ATM and then to send wire money through Western Union or whatever means they want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So other things come up.
Yes, for sure. I find that they're not directly telling me these things or asking me for help with these type of financial things. It's usually like, okay, I have a problem with my phone, my computer, my printer, whatever. And just my own natural instinct. Like, I don't believe in, because the tech takes a lot of patience.
Yes.
And there's a lot of time involved as far as, depending on what the job is, but it could take like over 15 minutes, half hour of updates, and you're just sitting there. Right. So during that time, I like to just make the most use of the person's time with me. Even though they didn't ask me to do it, I'll say, hey, while I'm waiting for this update, do you mind if I do some maintenance on your computer? Right. While I'm doing maintenance on their computer, usually something will come across my eye. I'll see some subscription there. They have some expired subscription. And I'll say, hey, did you notice that your McAfee's expired? Oh, I didn't even know I had it. So then that opens up the door to a conversation of, okay, well, why don't we cancel it? And then once we cancel it, it's like, then they start thinking, well, I wonder what else I have that I don't remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's just this whole thing. So there was this one lady that we started doing that. We started out with one subscription. Then she started wondering what else. And she was like, would you be able to help me? I was like, sure. We're just waiting for this download. We ended up going through all the apps on her phone. And she had started so many trials and forgot about them.
Really?
And was paying. Yes, she was paying. I think it was close to $500 in subscription she was paying for that she completely forgot about. And they were just charging. And when I showed her statement, she's like, what are all these things on my statement? And I told her, it looks like you started trials with these apps and they have your credit card. So if you don't cancel the trial, they're going to keep charging you.
Yeah.
You know, that prompted me to have the idea as part of my maintenance package actually help people. I put it on my personal calendar to call people and say, hey, such and such is expiring today. Make sure you take care of it so that they're not charged. Because I felt so bad that she was paying so much money all this time and didn't even know that she's paying for it. I hope I
Wow.
answered.
Yes, you did. I mean, that's a perfect example. I mean, that's amazing. And thank you for doing this. I mean, you are a godsend, as they say. I mean, you do have a lot of patience because I know, yeah, we worked together on my daughter's laptop, and my gosh, the
Thank
patience you
you.
had, it was absolutely incredible. Because again, like I said, I don't have none, and I think that a lot of children who are sort of the sandwich generation who have to take care of kids and also elderly parents, may experience or feel the same way I do. And I think I remember you and I were talking about what is your experience with just, going into people's places and what is that like? Part of this project is really understanding elder care and through your lens in sort of the tech or the tech savvy world. What is it like going with them? What do you see in terms of their upkeep and their homes? And what is that experience like?
Yeah, so most of my elderly clients, they're initially hesitant or afraid. They're actually afraid to work remotely. Uh,
Yeah.
so the only way to convince them, if I have any chance of convincing them, is to visit their house. So I have to do that first. So usually when I go to their house, not all of them, but I'd say a good 70%. Their homes, they live by themselves,
Hmm.
or it's a situation where their children are just stopping by occasionally. And their houses are like uh, cluttered,
Yeah.
unkept,
Yeah.
and I'm literally climbing through things to get to their computers because
Yeah.
they don't have laptops. Most of them have a desktop sitting on a desk in the room somewhere. So I'm climbing through things to get, and I just feel so bad that I feel like what we were talking about earlier with kids helping them, I feel like that's also a part of it. Like we get to the point where we're so busy, we don't have time. We don't have a lot of time I'm not saying all of us, but a lot of us
Sure.
don't have a lot of time to help them with their technology, help them maintain their homes. And they're older now, they can't do it like they used to do it. And they just leave it. They don't have much of a choice. They just leave it, or they're not privy to the fact that they can hire somebody to come clean, or just simply asking for help. So that unfortunately has been the situation with most of the homes I go into. It's a lot of clutter, a lot of very messy. Can't really get a few of them were just hoarders.
Yeah.
Sadly, they were just hoarders. But once I get to their desktop and I'm able to set it up the way I need, I say, hey, going forward, if you need me to help you, we can do it remotely. I don't need to come out, but if you want me to come out, I can, because some of them just don't feel comfortable with the remote situation. But I can remote into their computer and help them that way. But yeah, that's a big concern for me, is that they live that way and they're by themselves, and they have limited help, or they're afraid to ask for help or hesitant to ask for help for whatever reasons. I think it affects their mental health, because on
Hmm.
top of being alone, now they're like surrounded by all this stuff, and
Yeah.
they only have this one little path to get out of all this stuff.
Yeah.
I, I don't know. I mean, it affects me mentally sometimes going in. I have
Yeah.
to, so I can only imagine how it makes them feel. So I just wish that we could be more aware of that and find a way to be more helpful to helping them maintain their apartments and their houses, helping them declutter, clean up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the biggest challenge I'm hearing is application for Medicare or Medicaid. And when you
Mhm.
go on the government website, the first thing you see or pop up is apply here, apply online, and they're inundated with information, and they don't understand a lot of what it means. What has been your experience working with them around Medicare, Medicaid, or in these applications that they need to complete for SNAPs or whatever the case may be?
I didn't have a direct person with a health application.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I was trying to help my aunt who's elderly get Medicaid, and because of her age, she wasn't allowed to get it. So, but I don't. I'm a very due diligence person. I'm very determined. So I'm like, there has to be a workaround because of your particular circumstances. There has to be some type of workaround, some type of appeal process that we can initiate to get you this health insurance. You
Yes.
know, but she had no idea about what that would be because she's not savvy technology. Like, she doesn't know technology at all. She doesn't know how to apply online. But the only other experience I had, not with a medical application, but I helped somebody with their passport. No, I'm sorry, their travel visa. They were going to Africa, actually.
Yes.
The person called me and they said, my church is going to Africa, and I have no idea how to do this this visa application. Can you help me? And I said, sure. And it's just specific things that they need, but like they don't understand. For example, they have to upload their picture in JPEG format.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, what's this JPG? What is that? And I'm telling them that's a file format that they're specifying they want you to upload the picture in. So little things like that. If she would have put it through the way she had it before calling me, it would have gotten rejected for sure because she doesn't know what the difference between a PNG photo is and a JPEG photo is. Or she doesn't realize that, okay, I have to convert this to a PDF, or I have to have a white background on this particular. Like, it was just little details that they enforce on those applications, and you have to submit it that way, or they're not going to accept your application. That's my experience as far as applications go. My approach is I try not to just do it for you. I try to teach you what this means or what that means as we go along. I try to point these things out, and I also have the person do it as well so they can learn how they have that hands-on experience and they can learn how to do it. As people come back to me, they're the ones that's clicking because they know, oh yeah, I remember we did this last time, and they're just doing it. And I think they're telling me I'm helping them because they're getting a little bit more empowered and independent in that sense, that they're able to go through the process without so much hand holding.
Yeah, and that's fantastic that you're able to. That's the first thing that comes to mind as you were describing it. You're empowering your clients to to navigate this space. Any experience with patient portals?
Not beyond helping people log in, because a big problem is they can't remember their passwords. So I help people log into the patient portals and show them a way of, okay, this is how you can keep track of your password, and then they're able to get into their portals. But I don't insist too much to do too many personal things unless the person asks me, or unless I feel that this is something that's going to hurt them as far as finances. Then I'll say, hey, I'm noticing this. Maybe you're not aware of it. I think I can help you with it.
Yeah, and the reason why I ask is because I have difficulty navigating the patient portal very often. And quite often in patient portals, say, for instance, I got a blood test from another doctor and I need to upload the blood test into the patient portal, but they're not accepting photos. They want it in a PDF form. And then you have to sort of then convert that into a PDF, all these, and it's sort of the medical documents, especially, or even reading in the patient portal what's the results of the test or the summary of the visit and things of that nature. So I would imagine that also presents a problem. And maybe it could be where the reason why you haven't really had that experience is because they're probably not using it and they don't know how to use it.
Yeah. And I think that may be the case because they're not even using their online banking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, much less
Um,
patient. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And also, I think it's just a matter of being aware of what tools are available as well. I think people don't realize how many free tools are available online. And if they do realize it, they're scared to get on there and there and use it. But there are so many tools available online that you can use to convert documents so that you can put it in a portal like that. You don't have to pay for everything.
Yeah, and I think that, and rightfully so, they should be scared with all the scams. Oh, what has been your experience with them being scammed?
Ugh, it's so sad with the scams. I mean, it's I just feel so bad. I had this client that got scammed. I think she was on. I don't know how it happened exactly because I didn't see it from the initiation, but from what I understand, she was online. Something came up. She thought she exited it, but I think she ended up pressing yes or accept or something. And once she did that, her screen turns black. All these weird things start happening, and then she gets this notification that somebody needs to remote into her computer to fix it.
Uh,
But they're so these hackers are so intricate at this point. They're putting legitimate things that are recognizable to you on these notifications. So the notification will have Microsoft on it, and it'll look very similar to Microsoft's logo. If you're not keen in your eye knowing that certain things to look for that may be off, you'll think that's Microsoft. You won't know the difference. So,
really?
thinking that it was from Microsoft, she accepted this invitation
Mm-hmm.
and it just went downhill from there. They were able to get into her credit cards. They charged a few of her credit cards with these crazy things. They got into her
Really?
Amazon account and were
Really?
buying a bunch of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was terrible. So she finally called me and told me what happened. And I said, from what you're telling me and from what I'm seeing, I think someone has infiltrated your computer and you have malicious software on your computer. And the safest bet for us to make sure we get rid of it is to rebuild the computer.
Really?
Yeah, because it was to the point where even me logged in, I was being blocked from doing certain things. No matter how I tried to get in as an administrator or if I tried to get in safe mode, whatever, I couldn't do anything really. So I told
Uh-huh.
her the best bet to make sure it's completely gone and your machine is clean is to just rebuild your computer. So it took a few days because we did it remotely. She's in Florida. I'm in Jersey. So
Okay.
it took a few days, but we got it done and she's fine now and she knows what to look for. She learned from that experience. I mean, now she kind of calls me more now because now is it you think it's okay to do this or to do that? And I'm like, yes, it's fine. So she's more cautious and aware now. But I think a big piece is as far as security is that people aren't. It just takes education. Just take a master class or a free class on and educate yourself a little bit about safety online and how to keep your computer safe because there are all types of scams out there, unfortunately, and it's being targeted towards a lot. It's targeted towards everyone, but they target elderly people because most elderly people have a steady income, you know.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So that makes them, unfortunately, that makes them a target for someone to take their money because they know they're always going to have money in there anyway. As opposed to maybe someone living paycheck to paycheck, you're not going to have money a few days of the week, maybe, or you're going to have a low money. But if you have money coming in all the time, you're an easy target as far as charging your cards and taking money out of your account.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So we covered finance, we covered medical issues. What about legal? What has been sort of your experience navigating the legal space? Meaning the experience with the elders. Have they come to you with any issues?
No, not really anything legal. The only thing is, can you help me write a letter? Like I have a court appearance where I have to send something to my lawyer can you can you help me write an email or a letter? Not beyond that. No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Tell me one of your sort of most memorable experience so far.
I find them all memorable, but I think that that client I was telling you about earlier, that he thinks because he has so much money, he just has exclusive access. to, you know. So it makes me chuckle because I have to tell him, hey, you have to make an appointment.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm happy that you like my services and you want me to help you. I'm very grateful for that, but I have to help more people than just you.
Got it, got it, got it. So yeah, but also too, it's a sense of urgency, meaning that the demand is so great on his level, at least, right? Where he really needs the help and he really needs the support. I think that can be where that sort of high demand comes in, right? Where it's
Mhm.
like, I'm very sensitive with my money, as it should be. It's your hard work or your sacrifice or your life now that you're sort of in your retirement age, and there's a sense of trust. They have to trust because look at the type of scams that are happening.
Yeah.
And it's hard to trust. So what is that like, your experience with sort of building that trust with clients and them trusting you? Like what, because I tell you, I mean, when I first met you, I'm like, well, who is she? I don't know
Mhm.
anything about you. So I said, well, let's meet up at Starbucks because you never know who to trust.
Yes.
You could
Yes.
have all the greatest intentions of in the world, but can I trust you? What's that like?
It's harder with some people than it is with others. Some people will start the process on their own. They'll Google me, they'll watch my videos, they'll read my article, and then that they kind of put themselves at ease. Like this is a legit business. This is a stand up person with integrity. She's not a serial killer.
Uh,
She's not a thief. But it's also the same for me. Especially if I have to
yes,
meet someone in person.
that's
I
true.
I'm also very cautious. I'll park a block, depending on where I park a block away, you know,
Uh-huh.
because I don't know who I'm meeting either. And for
Yes.
me, it's even harder, I think, because I have no reference to Google you online, right? You
Wow.
can
Yeah.
Google me, but I can't. I have no idea who I'm meeting. I just know. I just get a voice over the phone saying, "Hey, can you help me do such and such?" And I go and meet them. Trust is big. I think the fact that I have an online presence and that I have some things printed up on me, that helped a lot, put people at ease as far as meeting me in person. And then especially if it's a word of mouth referral, that usually kills the trust issue because it's like, oh, my friend or my cousin or whoever sent me to you for help. So they automatically feel fine to meet with me.
Anything else you'd like to share with your experience working with the elders? And we talk about, again, medical challenges via the online or computer. We talked about finance. We touched a little bit about legal. Anything else you'd like to share?
Hmm. Trying to
Actually,
think.
I have a question. I have a question
Sure.
before you share that. What about connectivity? What is it their experience like with connectivity on the internet?
Uh, it depends. A lot of seniors just use the internet to check their email and to go on Facebook. That's all they think. That's all they think is they're capable of doing online. Even really, they don't realize that it is literally the World Wide Web. You can do anything on the internet, just about. So they don't realize that is a tool that gives you access to documents, it gives you access to everything and everybody really, as long as you can connect with them. A lot of them don't realize that. I'd say, like, for example, if I tell them to put something in the address bar, they'll put it in the search bar. So they don't realize the difference between the two, and that one is going to give you search results, the other one is actually going to take you to your destination website. So just little thing. I think it's just a matter of educating people, and which is really what I stress and I try to do when I'm training someone on the computer or working with them, I try to show them these little things, and they say, "Oh, I never knew that HTTPS means something different from HTTP. I never knew the difference. You're just pointing this out to me." So, and I never knew I needed to update my browser. Why does it matter? When I show them why it matters, and they get the importance of it. So, I think everything is with not just seniors, but with anybody, is just having the patients to go through the steps with them, and also at the same time educating them as much as possible, making them aware of what's happening, so they have an understanding.
And what about, because sometimes our internet goes down. It could be because some fluke or something happened and the reception is poor or bad. And what is that like for seniors? Also, I want to add that some communities have poorer internet reception than other communities. So, what is that like altogether?
So, as far as that, I personally blame the ISP or the service provider.
Okay.
Because a lot of times, I'd say again in that 70% range, not just with my senior clients, but all of my clients overall, they're not getting what they're paying for. So,
Really?
yeah. So, one of the services I offer is I do a network check for people. And when I notice that they're having 2 bars of Wi-Fi, I'm like, what? Why? There's no reason for you to be paying for internet service and you have 2 bars. So upon further investigation, I'll do a speed check and I'll check that against what they're paying for. Let's say they're paying for a gig of internet. And when I do the speed check is only coming back with 300 megabytes of internet. This is multiple speed checks. I'm not just doing one. I'm doing a few of them. And it's coming back with the same average number. I'm able to advocate for them in the sense that I will get in touch with the ISP and I'll tell them, hey, this person is paying for this and they're getting this. What's going on? Do they need an upgraded router? Do they need some firmware installed on the computer? Like, you guys need to come out and see what's going on. And a few times I was able to, by getting involved in that way, I was able to get people back a credit on their bill.
Really?
Yeah, because the ISP realizes that is their fault. So they're just going to take their auto pay. They're not going to, they don't care if they don't really, unless you complain, that's their philosophy. They're not going to do anything about poor service unless you complain. So if you have a router that's 5 years old and is still working, that's all that matters to them, that you're getting service. But are you getting the best service with that router? No, because it's 5 years old. and so you need to, but the average person doesn't know, hey, I need to call my service provider and see if there's any updated equipment available. The average person won't know to do that. Or they won't know to call and say, hey, can you test the speed on the internet service I'm receiving, so that to make sure that I'm getting what I'm paying for. The average person is not going to know to do that. But what I don't like about the service providers is it seems like they put that pressure on, they'll try to put that back on the customer, that, hey, you didn't tell us that you had anything wrong. The person's not going to know that there's anything wrong unless there's a professional like myself that's going to point that out to them, or unless their internet is completely down, like you mentioned. That's the only way they're going to know to say something about it. So yeah, that's been my experience as far as connection. The service providers are not providing maintenance, I should say. They don't provide maintenance. They don't provide proactive maintenance. And that's something that I stress in my business. I proactively try to maintain people's systems so that I think through maintenance, you're going to get the best optimization. If you're not maintaining your system, it's going to perform it's like a car. If you're not putting oil in it every so thousand miles, yeah, it's going to work, but you have dirty oil that's slowing down your car gradually. Right. So it's the same concept. You have to maintain your systems. You have to implement firmware updates. You have to do system updates. You have to do operating system updates. You have to, in some cases, you have to upgrade your memory. You have to, there's just things you have to do to keep it up to its best performance.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I think that that's really great advice. And I've learned so much by talking to you, by the discussion. Any last minute comments and or recommendations or suggestions you may have? I know one thing you mentioned is about password.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do people remember or keep it? Any suggestions on that?
Passwords are my biggest headache. And I think it's the biggest headache for the clients too.
Yeah.
Because no one remembers their passwords.
Yeah.
I think
And that's how we met. That's how we met. Yeah.
My advice, depending on the person, because some people just don't have tolerance for like these apps and things, right? So my advice is, as much as you can, try and save your password to your browser or to your phone. When it prompts you, hey, do you want to save it to your keychain? Say yes.
Okay.
And that way, when you go back to that site, you can just press in the field to put your username, and the password will come up, and you don't have to remember anything. Now, if there is a case where you need to know what the actual password is, you can go into your phone or into your browser, and once you put in your credentials, you can reveal the actual password. So that's one thing I recommend. Some people, I have to make an actual log for them, like an Excel spreadsheet or a handwritten log. I prefer an Excel spreadsheet because it can be easily updated and sent to them or kept on their computer someplace. I would advise you keep a log of the website you're going to, the username, password hint, and the date you changed the password. Those are the things that should be in that log. If you go back, it might trigger your memory because you have the password hint, and the date that you changed it there.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, for me, a lot of people don't know that you can actually search your text messages, right?
Oh,
Or
really?
whatever texting service you have, you can search through that. My personal habit is I don't keep those passwords, but if I'm in your presence when you change a password or if we change a password together, I always text it to the person.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually a few days later, people call me and say, hey, we changed the password the other day. What was it? I don't remember. So if I texted it to them, I can say, well, just search your text. And you'll see the other day when we were working on it, I texted you that password. And they'll say, oh, that's so great. Thank you for doing that. I didn't even realize you did that. And they're able to get into their, to wherever we're trying to do. So those are my tips as far as passwords. Also, it's hard because we have a lot of passwords to remember, but try not to use the same one for everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So try to differentiate, like for example, have one that says Harlem, right? And have another one that says Harlem 123, and then have one that says capital H @R L3M.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
So mix it up that way with characters, with numbers, with symbols. Mix it up that way depending on what you're doing. So you don't want to have the password Harlem for your bank. That's too easy, right? You want to have some special characters in there, some numbers in there, some symbols in there to make it different level of security. So you can sort of have the same password, but depending on what it's for, add some extra layers of security to it, as far as add some extra numbers and symbols to it.
This is great advice. Mindful of your time, and I know we talked a lot. And there's one question that's burning that I thought of.
Sure.
Vision. What's
Vision.
been the experience? Yeah, vision. Because I know that quite often they may have to enlarge the screen to. So, what's been your experience with that?
A lot of seniors have trouble with vision. So there are actually accessibility features within your computer or within your phone to enlarge the text or to zoom in. or even to dictate what's on your screen to help you.
Oh, really? Uh-huh.
Yes, to help you with that. And if you don't like the default options that come with your devices, you can also subscribe to an app or install software to more customize it. But all these newer devices come with those accessibility options
Mm-hmm.
for you to in consideration of people with vision problems and hearing problems.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Sorry about that. Yeah. Well, I think that this brings us to the end because I know I asked you a lot and we talked about a lot and cover a lot. But one of the things that really stick out for me is what you do is to help seniors and empower them about navigating so much in around the tech world, internet, and the computer or the phone space. So thank you very much.
You're
I
welcome,
really
Marlon.
Yes, I really appreciate it. I'm getting an important phone call here, but
Yeah, sure.
thank you. I really appreciate it. You've been wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you are a godsend. Bless you for doing your work, and we will be in touch. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay then. Bye bye.
Bye.